Hey there, everyone. I'm AJ.
And I'm Carlos.
Welcome to the Roaming Minds podcast, your space for unpacking all things related to mental, cognitive, and neural health.
We're here to shift through the mass of information related to mental health and wellness. Think of us as your friendly guides, here to assist you in making actionable choices in your mental wellness journey.
Now, please understand, we are not doctors, psychologists, or therapists. We are just humans who are curious and have a passion for all things related to mental health, sharing what we've learned for informative purposes only.
Exactly. This isn't medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you're dealing with something serious, please hit up your doctor or mental health professional. Don't take our word for it.
Never skip out on expert help or put it off because of something we discussed here. If you need support right now, check the links in the description.
So buckle up, friends. Let's dive into today's convo and explore what's on our mind.
I'm excited, dude. This is not only is this a really, really cool topic, but we have made it to our final episode of this season. Who would have thought it? I wasn't.
Discomfort.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm not telling you I wasn't. I didn't have any plans of not making it, but it's very surreal when you actually get there. So, yeah.
I mean, to me, it doesn't feel like the end because, like, we'll be back for season two in a couple of weeks. So, like, to me, it's just, we're just taking a little mini break because, it is a lot of work that goes into, getting this done. And, we're not doing this full time. So we have, like, other things going on in our lives. So, but, having a little break, but, coming back stronger for season two,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to
It's
be
going to be
good.
super good. And I think that this is a really, really good topic to end on, especially the way the season played out. My mind just went totally fucking blank. I
It's
was like, I
okay.
knew where I want to go. Um, Today's a little bit different. We're not going to go with our standard kind of format, but it's going, I think it's going to be just as kind of powerful ultimately. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read a few statements that I came across a while back. Um, so real quickly, right? Nobody else is doing this. Well, that's the point. It's not fair. That's the point. It's lonely. That's the point. I keep failing. That's the point. I'm overwhelmed. That's the point. I don't know where to start. That's the point. It feels impossible. That's the point. It hurts. That's the point. I feel like giving up. That's the point. I don't think I can do it. That's the point. Every struggle, every moment of discomfort is shaping you into the person you want to become. Life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. I mean, at least when I first read it, I read through all of them and I sat there and I was like, I'm telling you, in the past decade, without fail, I have felt each and every one of those emotions at some point in time,
Hmm.
with the exception of that's the point. In the moment, that's the point would have pissed me the fuck off.
Took the
Right?
words from my mouth because I say sometimes say that's the point. You're like, all right, do you be that's the you think I want to suffer? You think I want to feel like a failure? What do you mean that's the point?
Right. And it took me a long time to realize that the excuses, the fear, the resistance that I was putting up was not necessarily like, no, stop. It was keep going. This is good for you. That took a while to really understand. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about a couple of episodes ago in the belief episode, right? Um, we talked about you can make anything happen provided you're willing to deal with whatever comes your
Yeah.
way. Um, again, provided it's attainable and you believe you can do it, you can get there. But we have no, there's there's no guarantee of what's going to happen in order for you to be able to get there. And this translates to any endeavor that you want to take, whether this be starting mental health journey, whether this be wanting to get more fit, whether this is career related, anything. Once you decide what you want, you got to kind of be ready to accept what comes at you. You have, we've made claims, we've made desires known. I know for me, I talked about it a few episodes ago. I decided I wanted to go back to school, and that's exactly what I did. It wasn't easy. I had to work 2 jobs while going to school full time, and I was taking care of my kid who was facing his own difficulties, which took up a lot of time. It was not easy. And I was very lonely at that point. And
Mm.
we'll kind of go through each and all the other ones. And I can assure you that nobody else was doing the same thing that I was doing, because it was undergrad and I was older, and there was at least, let me rephrase that. Not nobody else, but nobody else that I knew
And
was doing anything like that. That's more of where it was. You want to talk about overwhelmed at that time? Wow. And then since then, I, I just keep setting the bar further and further and further and further. And I know I'm going to go through a fair amount of these. Maybe not be uh, debilitated. Is that the right word? Is that the word? Or crippled by them, like I have let happen sometimes in the past.
Mhm.
But those situations are still going to arise that I'm going to be completely alone at some point in time. I'm going to get overwhelmed. I'm going to not succeed in one of the things that I'm doing, but all of that is okay. And so we'll kind of go through why. So when it talks to, we'll start with the first point. No, I lied. The first thing that I want to talk about is the myth of readiness. I'll start when I'm ready, because I don't know where to start. Well, let me tell you, it just doesn't work that way. You will end up waiting forever at that point, because we have split seconds in order to make a decision as to whether or not we're going to pursue something or not. Why? Not because we can't do it, but if we have a thought and we're like, oh, I should do that, but I don't think I'm going to. There's 8.5 million distractions in this lifetime to take us away from starting. I could have that thought. It could be gone a minute and a half later. Now, I may get lucky, and that thought may keep popping up and popping up and popping up. And in that case, great. If I'm lucky enough to have that, that is wonderful and beautiful. But I'm not always that lucky. And at least what I've found is if I keep having those thoughts, what comes with it is a whole lot more discomfort. A whole lot more. Because it's something that I know that I need to do on such a deep level that it's going to keep bugging me no matter what. And the discomfort's only going to grow because I know that I have to do that in order to get to where I want to be. And again, where you want to be is a very wide spectrum. I can literally be, all I want to do is make it through the day without telling somebody that they're a piece of shit. I don't know. I'm not setting lofty goals here. I'm just trying to.
I was gonna say that's one of the. I was gonna say going a space seems slightly easier than not calling somebody, not cussing somebody out.
Yeah.
That
All you
seems
got to
more achievable.
All you got to do is sit in DC traffic, and,
Like,
and everything's coming out. No, just
talk. Actually, no, all you gotta do is go outside and interact with the human being these days, and you gotta go.
right, right,
Idiots. Absolutely
right.
idiots.
Yes. And so it really kind of brings up this idea that discomfort is not just a flaw in the system. It is a feature. It is used in order to get us to make actions that we need to take. If I'm doing something and it leads to discomfort, I better start taking contrary action. I don't know what that I it, that comes with a caveat. That's not always the case. But in terms of what we are talking about, that is the case, because there are going to be times where, you know, uh, I mean, just this week, I had a couple of people die in our family. I, it Death is uncomfortable. Sadness, those kinds of feelings. There's nothing I need to do for that other than feel it and understand that it's okay. So that's what I mean when I say that difference. I thought this was an interesting quote when I was putting all of this together. Readiness is not a prerequisite for impact. Um, it makes no difference if you're ready. All that matters is if you move forward, keep going, and deal with what you got to do, if that makes sense. And so the next kind of point to come to is why nobody else is doing it. Okay. It's not that nobody else is not doing it. People are definitely doing it. There are 7.5, 8.5 billion people on this, whatever. I don't know.
I think it's like a little over 8 billion people in the world now.
Right. I'm not telling you I go and look that up regularly. Somebody else is guaranteed doing what you are doing. You just don't know them. And these things that you're doing are deeply personal to you. Just like the person next to you is doing something that is deeply personal for them. If it's not deeply personal, we really don't waste time on it. It kind of comes back to like where our moralities are, where our moral compass is aimed at. And it kind of goes back to that whole idea of personalization. Everybody's morals are going to be on a different scale and whatever. But when it comes to doing X or doing Y, well, I'm going to pick that based off of which one is morally more effective for me. It doesn't, that's why it seems like nobody else is doing it, but everybody else is going through, they all have their own struggles. Nobody gets out of this life unscathed. It doesn't happen.
And the thing is, not everybody, people are not going to share their struggles or whatever they're going through or whatever their plan is with you, because again, it is something that is intrinsically personal, because it is somebody's own journey, so they're going through it on their own. They might share with their parents or a close friend or a husband or wife or whatever in that situation, but even if you are a friend, they're not going to share that journey to you. So to you from the outside, it might seem like you are the only person that's feeling this, but a lot of other people are feeling that. And the other thing that I want to say about I'm not ready is, it's a cop out. Saying I'm not ready, it just allows you to keep moving the goalpost of when you wanted things to be achieved. If you're like, oh, I need the following things before I can, for I had this personally speaking, I had a conversation with my dad, because we were talking about kids and stuff like that. And we were discussing, and I said, I want to get graduate medical school, be stable, and I have all these other criterias. And he said, you are saying that now, but life is going to bring different changes to you that are going to be unexpected. And then what you're going to do is just going to keep moving the goalposts. And then you're going to find yourself at 50, 60, having kids for 20 years, and then it's going to be too late. And then you're like, oh, it's too late for me to have kids. So with most things, you'll never be ready. It's like taking a test. You can study all you want, but there's always a little bit of nerve and anxiety. It's not that you don't know the material. It's just that, there is an and what's the word that I'm looking for? An unknown that's present that you can't really do anything about. So, but you go in and you take the test because the test is not going to move back. Because if you keep moving the test back, you're not going to pass your class. You're going to either have to repeat it or quit school.
Right. And it's really ineffective.
Yeah,
Uh, you don't need, I know, at least when I was thinking about getting started, I used to think that I needed all the fanciest things in order to be able to complete everything. And don't get me wrong, they make it easier. But if you don't know how to use the system, it doesn't matter if you're spending a fortune on it or not. You're still not going to be able to do it if you don't just start going out there. And so, it really is just a matter of figure out what it is your personal compass, my personal path, personal trajectory is, and just begin taking action. It doesn't, actions can be small. They don't have to be huge, super small, super small. But taking one action leads to another action, leads to another, leads to another. Think about it just like walking. I take one step and I got to take another step forward. It's really important to understand that. So now what I do kind of want to do is break down all of these little topics. And we're going to kind of, I don't know if we'll go through them quickly, but make sure that we'll make sure that we hit all the points before we move on to the next one. The first thing that I really want to talk about is it's not fair. And that's the point. Fairness is the biggest. I seriously wish that word would fucking go out the window. I hate that word. It's not fair.
life
Fuck
isn't
you.
fair. Like
No,
life isn't
well,
fucking fair.
right. And I think the point that we tend to miss, I always hated when people told me life wasn't fair. So I'm going to try and stay away from that as much as possible. Not because it's wrong, because it's far from it. But I really want to hammer this point home that like life challenges you and builds the person who you want to become through giving you challenges. Through adversity, we become the people who we are meant to be. Why? I have no actual theory, but there was there was an interesting study that could potentially put some linkages together. There's one that was done in fish, and what they did was they scared the shit out of the fish. They used some stimuli to make them freak out, and what they noticed was that instantaneously, neural connections were formed that were not there previously. If that is the case, that fear and adversity and things like that are quicker ways to establish new neural patterns, then in all honesty, you can take your fairness and run as far away as humanly possible with it. I want life to be unfair. you know, you know what I mean? It's not. I would much rather take responsibility for it and do what I need to do rather than wait for things to be fair. Something that is never going to happen in my lifetime.
And I think I think it teaches us resilience because when like you have to go through some level of like shit, for lack of better shit,
Mhm.
in order to understand life a little bit better. And I think the reason why is if you as you grow up and like let's say you want to start a business, there's going to be some problem when you start the business. Then the business is going to grow. Problems don't go away. That's the thing. Problems and shit going unraveling doesn't go away. But it's through when you've learned how to be that resilience, and that unfairness has taught you skills to put to use. So that's why when the business, is big, you can still make those choices when things are unraveling without the business just crumbling from day to night. Because if because that's at least that's how I view it personally.
No, I understand. I mean, I've watched a lot of people start businesses, and it's very interesting how they all tend to go through the same thing at the very start, different circumstances, but the trajectory of getting started is very similar. The next one is it's lonely. Well, we kind of talked about this a little bit, right? Growth is personal to each and every single one of us, right? It's not going to be the same. You are going to outgrow people. You are going to outgrow environments. You are going to outgrow habits that no longer serve you. And so then what do you do? How do you manage that? Well, you have to go find your people. You have to go and build a community. You have to put yourself out there in order for it to be less lonely, for, I mean, lack of a better way to say that. Waiting for people to show up is just like waiting for change to happen. It's not going to unless you get out there and change it. And I know I'm placing a lot of importance on the term you, but at the end of the day, it's all about you. It's all about me. It's all about Carlos, and not in a selfish point of view. I'm not saying, oh, I'm only looking out for me. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying it is my responsibility. If I want these things, I need to go out and make these things happen. I may not know how to do that, but by taking those incremental steps, it's okay. I will get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Move on. You okay?
Keep going.
Cool. I keep failing. That's the point. Dude, failure is one of the best things in this lifetime. For real. When I talk to kids that I teach that are in tough places, or they're trying to figure out what they want to do, this, that, and the other, I'm like, I wish you many, many, because failure is proof, number one, that you're trying. It's just proof that you're doing something. Not only that, failure gives you information. If I have information and I have data, I can go out and I can do something about it. If I did something that wasn't right the first time, I can go back, take what I did wrong, do something different the next time in the hopes that it's going to be better this time. And chances are, usually, it is. And shit, I don't even know. How many episodes did we record before we finally released? Right, exactly. I mean,
Probably at least like 14, like to trial and
I,
error. Because
I'm pretty sure that's being generous, man. We had to have played around with trying to figure everything out for like a solid 6 months
yeah,
before we were like, all right, I think we're ready. Maybe you're right. Who knows? But
it's probably a little bit more than 14, but like, well, because the only reason I said, because some of them they wouldn't record or the platform wasn't doing so.
right.
So we may have met over the course of 6 months, but like
Hmm.
recording wise,
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
in that ballpark.
Yeah. And again, yeah, we failed a couple of times, but I learned a whole lot. And so that's awesome. What more can I ask for? Now we're ending season 1 and preparing for season 2. Just because the long versions end doesn't mean that we have plenty of content to be released across all social media channels during our break. And so failing didn't do anything other than teach us what we needed to do in order to move forward.
Hmm.
The next one is, I think, for me, one of the biggest ones is failing. I mean, I always took failure as a major setback. So,
Yeah. On that point, just a personal anecdote. Personally, it's when I failed at something, those things just, and I fix those failures or mistakes, those things tend to personally stick to me more than like if I do something right the first time. If I do something
Mhm.
right the first time, like whether it's by luck or by, pure knowledge or whatever or experience, I don't really like, I don't just, again, the hubris of, being a human being. I go, I got it right. I'm good. Like, I don't need to like do it again.
Mhm.
But If I fail or like I'm not good at something, I spend the time to learn it and it sticks in here.
Yeah. No, it's again, I can't tell you how much I wish each and every person who listens to this episode now and in the future many, many failures. And not because I don't want you to succeed, but it's the exact opposite.
And just on a lighter note, I think like failure gives great stories. It makes you funnier. Like it gives you
Ain't
great
that the
anecdote to share to people. So you know what? Think about it as getting a personality.
Yeah, exactly. This next one is another big one, but not as nowhere near as much as failure was, at least for me. I'm overwhelmed. That's the point. Dude, we're all gonna get overwhelmed at some point in time. I feel like it's almost impossible not to. It's not. It's not an excuse to be like, oh, well, I shouldn't do this anymore because I'm overwhelmed. Find ways to like automate your tasks. Find a way to reduce some of the things that you have to do. If you're really overwhelmed, right? Like figure out a way, like what can I what is not serving me, right? I feel like a lot of the times we start making these decisions to go out and do things and w- we start, taking action and we start adding more and more to the plate. But what we don't do is start taking some of the things off that we were doing before. And then it's real easy to get overwhelmed and to get overloaded. However, there are excellent ways not to get overloaded. One of the biggest ones is breathing. Vagus nerve stimulation. I know that the physiological sigh is a really big one. The one that I go to the most is breathing on the way to work. That's all I do. On the way home from work, that is all I do. So that is 30 minutes, and that's 30 minutes a day of just intentional breathing practice to be able to calm me down. And I will tell you that the results in even just a few short weeks are life changing. I mean, everything just feels lighter. I don't feel as weighed down. I don't have, and everything's not as heavy. And I work pretty much 7 days a week. You know what I mean? So, like, it's not, it's, it's not something that you have to be defined by, and it's not something that has to stop you in your tracks. You just need to know the tools in order to be able to get you out of that overwhelming. And the biggest thing, right? Reflection. So understanding where you're at to be able to take things off those plate while adding, and using breath work, using vagus nerve stimulation, all of those kinds of things in order to be able to bring down anxiety levels, because that's really where your overwhelming is, or overwhelmed feelings are going to come from. I have this. Dude, if I showed you my to-do list, it'd make you cry. It's going to get done eventually. I'm going to keep chipping away at it. I'm not like, oh no, don't look at me. I look at it, I take stock, and we just go off one by one. We got this.
And I wanted just to mention, I think sometimes when we get in those, we tend to blame whatever the new task or whatever the goal is as the reason for the stress and not like the things that are going on in our lives. We tend to be like, if you, I don't know, give me a task or a goal that somebody wants to achieve. Come on,
Getting
think.
a new job.
Getting a new
Haha.
job. So you're like, I'm so stressed about finding a new job. Yes, you are stressed about finding a new job, but what else in your life is going on? The stressors, yeah, you're unemployed, so you are rushing to find a new job. The job market sucks. There are all these other factors that are going into that are impacting what's it called, your stress, that people don't generally think about. They just thing to blame the goal because you're like, I'm trying to do this, and that's when I start feeling stressed. So therefore you try to do this correlation or causation with the direct thing, and not necessarily give a holistic picture of all the other things are going on in in your life, and all the other things that are encompassed within that goal that are driving those stressors.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. I don't know where to start. Yeah, right. I mean, we've talked a lot about it. I guess we'll just hit it briefly, really briefly again. Nobody starts off as a hero. If we're talking on a scale of 0 to 10, we're all starting off at 0. We go up the levels in order to get to 10. Everybody that you've ever looked up to, everybody that has ever done something noteworthy, they started somewhere. And that's okay. You got to start somewhere. Just take an action towards it, whether that be reading about it, whether that be whatever, anything like that builds momentum, it builds traction, and then you can build on that momentum, and then you can build on that traction. And I guarantee you, if you start, you're going to figure out what the next step is, and the next step, and the next step, and the next step. And then you're going to come back, you're going to fail somewhere, and you're going to be like, oh, shoot, I shouldn't have done it that way. And then you're going to come back and you're going to keep going. This is the cycle for any, this is guaranteed the cycle for me. This is how I do everything. I start learning one thing. I take actions. I'm like, oop, that's probably wrong. Let me go down here. I get here. This way got me past here, but I failed here. That's okay. So let me branch off here and we're going to keep going. Forward momentum is absolutely fantastic. Keep it up and keep going.
Yeah. I just want to say, I think we tend to idolize the end goal, and we think, oh, if we get this, life will be perfect, or if we're on this journey, the journey is going to look it's an idealized version of what the journey actually is. And I think once we start being realistic and being open to the possibility that it's not going to be a smooth road, some of the pressure and some of these things that we've discussed and we'll discuss on further will come at an easier pace and be easier to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. This next one I feel like should just be eliminated from everybody's vocabulary. It feels impossible. The word impossible should go somewhere. Okay. I get what people, I get why it's a word. I understand, but I also get that we tend to use it in the wrong way. Oh, I can't do that. That's going to be impossible. The use of the word impossible for that just needs to be struck from the record. Every single thing in this lifetime was impossible until somebody did it. It was impossible to make people see better until glasses were invented. And I'm sure that people were shocked at the first glasses. I could only imagine. Could you imagine? I always thought about that. I've always thought about that.
Imagine being like the
Like,
first person to get glasses. They're like, what's
right, that's what I'm
this?
saying. Or like the first guy walking down the street with the prototype, like all those people had to have been like, what the fuck is wrong? What's on that guy's face or that, whatever. It's silly, right? You just have to take action. And it may, like I said, you may potentially end up failing ultimately. But guess what? You took a lot of action to get there. You're going to be much, much further than when you first started. So it's okay. Fucking possible. Believe you can achieve anything. Adopt that limitless mindset and fucking go for it. It's okay. It hurts. That's a big one. That's a tough one, right? Because physical pain is not easy to push past. I mean, if you're a bodybuilder, sure, maybe because you're kind of used to doing something like that, or athlete of sorts, training, you kind of learn to deal with that physical pain. But sometimes when it comes to the emotional stuff and that physical pain, it can it can be a lot. Like, I mean, I don't know if I want to use that example. I don't know if I want to outright say it. Let me think. There was a situation with my son that absolutely baffled me. Not only did it baffle me, it hurt because it was something that on a human level was so atrocious. I mean, he was 5 years old and was effectively bullied and harassed by an adult at the school that he was going to. What the fuck do you do with that? Like, what, who, who planned, who prepared me for that
Yeah.
situation? I couldn't make the situation up if I wanted to. It hurt. I took action. I didn't know how to deal with it. I had no fucking clue. But I just started taking action. The answers became clear as we went over time, but that shit was painful. And that was smack in the middle of going back to school. So I'm working all the time. I'm dealing with all of this. And then on top of that, I'm dealing with just immense amounts of pain and trying to figure out how to best support this 5-year-old kid that kind of understands what's going on. It's hard. It is definitely hard. But I can tell you that there's less emotions involved when things like that happen again. And they do happen, especially with kids. They get themselves into situations and they get hurt, and you want to be there for them and you want to do something for them. And you can't sometimes. There's nothing you can do. I can't go and take out or get into a fight or a dispute with said other person, because then what happens? Then my kid is definitely lost because he just lost a parent to the incarceration system it's just not. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Feel it's just like that whole stretch on sadness. Feel the pain, lean into it, and take action. I guarantee you it will get better. It may not seem like it, but pain is temporary. It does not last forever, and all of these things will fade given time.
It
Uh,
does.
this next one is probably another massive one for me. I feel like giving up. Quitting, I feel like, is so ingrained in our society. We're like, oh, it's uncomfortable. I don't have to do it. I'm just going to quit. I see it all the time in younger generations, more so than ours. Maybe it wasn't the case, but especially when we're young, kids are like, well, why am I doing this? What's the point? This sucks. It's no fun. I don't get to do what I want. Why would I do this? So let me just give up. It's way too hard, especially with computer science. If you don't want to learn how to code, eh, it, it's not fun. It's hard. It's very hard. And when you don't want to do it,
Yeah.
what the fudge? I
No,
wanted
like,
to.
no, we've again, at least you and I like have had the experience of coding, and I have spent stretches of weeks when I went, I would rather shoot myself in the head. Not that I condone that, but that felt like more of a fun and easier option. Sorry,
No,
like
you're
sorry,
fine.
but it
No,
felt
you're
like more
fine.
of an easier option than continue because I just could not get the code because it just anything I tried, it just did not work. I called friends, I looked online, I found a manual, it just wouldn't work. And I was literally having an internal panic where, literally anything but that. And I could have quit, but I
Hmm.
didn't.
Right.
I took, again, I did, there was, I persevered, but there were like steps in between to letting me to persevere, but I kept with it. And then I became, how do I say, proficiently good
Right.
enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think the big takeaway from that is just don't give up. If you have to take a break, that's okay. But no matter what, commit to not giving up. I think it's one of the best things that any human being can do in this lifetime is make a commitment to never giving up what they want out of this lifetime. Why bother? What good comes from giving up? And you may not make it, you may die while you're getting there, but at least you tried. And at least when it's your time, you're not sitting there with a whole bunch of regrets of I should have done this and I should have done that and I should have done this. Um, not to get too morbid up in here.
Yeah, 'cause, I think we said a few weeks when people are dying, they never said, "Hmm, I wish they said, "I wish I did this." They said,
Right.
"I wish I had given up," or "I
Right.
wish I had just sat in bed." They said, "I am sad that my life is coming to an end, and there are these goals that I wanted to achieve, whether I set them out loud or internally or whatever it is, but I didn't get to accomplish, and that makes me sad."
Yes. And so the last one that we've got is I don't think I can do it. Doubt, obviously, is incredibly normal. I can guarantee you that if you can see it and you can believe it, you can achieve it. There's nothing more to it. I don't get caught up in the things that you can or you can't do. There are plenty of stories that we can point to of people who should not be able to do things, but who do. You're talking paraplegics that are bodybuilders. If a paraplegic can be a bodybuilder, then you guys can do anything. Please just sit down and go figure it out. It's not a matter of whether or not you can do it. It's a matter of how bad you want it.
Yeah.
If you want it bad enough, you're going to get up, you're going to go out there, and you are going to do it. Don't ever tell yourself that you can't just for whatever. Make sense?
I couldn't have said it better myself. I completely 100% agree.
Hmm.
But
And so,
again, there are some things again within the context we are speaking. So I don't want people to be out here. There again, you can get always given it. There's always an exclusion to everything we've talked about. So, but with the context that we're talking about, yes,
yeah. And so I'm going to leave, everybody with just a little bit to kind of slightly sum up, but at the same time, something to carry with forward for the next couple of weeks. Anything that you're experiencing right now that is uncomfortable is shaping you. It is allowing you and opening up space for you to become the person who you want to be. It's not a punishment. It is not an unfair happening. It is based off of everything that you have made claims that you have wanted in this lifetime. You are in the process of becoming someone that you have never been before. It's going to be uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. However, self-directed change is much better than non-self-directed change, because we either change and we grow, or life around us changes and grows. And so we can either mold that how we want and show up the way that we want to, or we can be, it's effectively the difference between proactivity and reactivity. Be proactive about the changes that are going to happen, because they're going to happen no matter what. Be prepared to meet them rather than playing catch up, because when we play catch up is when I can't do it. This is impossible. I can't. I don't. Whatever. It's not fair. All of it. Proactively go out and do that. So I'm going to put it in the description, right, for later. But a reflection prompt for how you can reframe whatever it is that you are currently struggling with. I think that that is going to be incredibly important. And how can you be kind to yourself through this process? And what does that look like? So what I would also like to do, or what I would also like to ask people to do, is over the course of the next couple of weeks, choose some actions, or even just today, choose one action that are going to feel aligned with whatever it is your purpose is, and just take them over the next few weeks. You can comment about it later. That's awesome. We always love hearing about that kind of stuff.
as perfectly said. AJ and I want to thank you guys for a wonderful first season. We couldn't have done it without you guys. You guys have been absolutely wonderful, and seeing the growth that we're making, and we're going to be incorporating some changes for season 2. So that's going to be really exciting. And in terms of season 2, we will see you guys back in the fall. Will be season 2 will be starting around October 4th, October 14th. Sorry, not the 4th, 14th. I apologize. If you guys have anything, always leave a comment and we appreciate you.
That's all we have for today. Thanks for hanging out with us on Roaming Minds.
Carlos here with a friendly reminder, your mind's worth it.
If you enjoyed our conversation and want to learn more, hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening. Spotify, Apple, whatever works for you. Maybe even drop us a review if you're feeling extra kind. If you're the social media type, come find us on Instagram at roaming_minds_pod. We've got updates, behind the scenes bonuses, all that good stuff.
Catch us next week for another ADHD-filled adventure, chasing life, liberty, and whatever shiny idea grabs us next.